Hi, I'm Eric Price with LI-COR. In this video, we will show you how to reseat the SD card inside of the LI-1500 light sensor logger or inside the console of the LAI-2200C LAI or leaf area index meter. The data of the instrument is recorded on that SD card, as well as things like the configurations, sensor configurations, and other features. If you are noticing that your instrument is no longer recording data even when you start and stop a recording, or if you're unable to communicate with the instrument via USB to a computer, then the SD card may be loose inside of the instrument. This is the first thing to check. To do this operation, you will need to take apart the console. You will need a Phillips screwdriver, probably a small one, like you see here. You may need a needle nose pliers or other sort of device to grip the screws as they come loose. You will need a piece of tape to keep the SD card in place to prevent it from moving again. And we generally recommend that anytime you are opening these consoles and working with the circuit boards directly, we recommend avoiding electrostatic discharge by using a wrist device connected to a grounding device. So with those items, you don't need a new SD card. We will just reseat the card that's already there. So we will open up the console and get started. In this example, we will use the LI-1500 light sensor logger, but the process is the same for the LAI-2200C console. First, we will start by connecting our electrostatic discharge wrist strap. Then we will turn the instrument over and remove the batteries. Next, we will remove the 4 screws that hold the 2 halves of the console in place. They are located underneath these rubber protection. You will use that same Phillips screwdriver to remove those screws as well. Now we will remove the top and bottom half of the console. You can see that it comes apart just like this. The SD card is located right here, and you can see that my SD card is touching the outer edge of the console shell, and that is not ideal. In fact, if I push down on the SD card to push it in, you can see that there's some movement there, so it is not securely in place. Now, you would think that you could push it in place from here, but that is not the case. We still need to do further work. We'll open this up and remove the power connector here. You want to make sure that you grab onto the white connector, not the wires themselves, and pull directly upwards from the circuit board. With this out of the way, we can now unfold the 2 halves of the console like this. Next, we will remove the 6 Phillips screws that are holding the circuit board in place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is where you may need to use your needle nose pliers to grab on to the screw and remove it. Once you have removed all 6 screws, gently lift up on this side of the circuit board, the one where the SD card is, like this, and the SD card is now accessible. You can simply push it into place and you should hear a clicking sound. It should now be firmly in place. You see I can't move it very much. Now it is secure. To make sure it stays that way, you can use a small piece of tape across the SD card and the housing to secure it. Next, we will replace the 6 small screws. You do want to make sure that you alternate from one screw to the other. You don't want to fully tighten one screw first before tightening the other ones. You do want to alternate, kind of just like changing a car tire, so that the force is equally distributed across the circuit boards. Once you've replaced the 6 screws, then we will put the 2 halves close together again. You will reconnect the power connector into the white receptacle down here. It is keyed to go in only one way, so there should be only one way that you can push that in, and push that directly in, applying force to both sides of the connector equally. Now we can reconnect the 2 halves of the console. You will tighten the 4 screws here first, and then place the batteries back in and place the cover back on the instrument. Once you have secured the SD card and put the instrument back together, open a log file and record some data, as well as connect the instrument to a computer to make sure that everything is working. If the instrument is still not working, doing the same thing that it did before, you may have a failed SD card. At that point, please contact LI-COR technical support for further assistance. We may be able to send you a new SD card, or you may need to send your instrument back to LI-COR for repair. Feel free to check our website for manuals, documents, and videos like this. And as always, feel free to contact us or your local distributor if you have any questions.